Hello guys, I hope you all are fine. We discussed in the previous video module 9 of the part 2, and in this video we will look into module 10 part 1 section. Module 10, resume preparations, guidelines and conversation. Part 1 about resume preparation guidelines. Section 1 about resume process, preparation process. Section 2 resume preparation, steps of techniques. Section 3 flowchart of resume preparation determination. Section 4 explanation of flowchart on resume creation. So in this video, we will learn and cover the module 10, part 1, section 1, section 2, and section 3 and 4. So we'll move to the next slide. Module 10, resume preparation guidelines and conversation. Part 1, about resume preparations guidelines. Section 1, about resume preparation process. So section 1 is all about the candidate will follow up on the guidelines for resume preparations. A resume is an important part of any interview. The interview makes your personal and professional details which are reviewed by the interviewer or employer. The resume is a first impression in which the candidate is screened first level of the employment requirement. So section 1 is talking about the guidelines which to be followed while resume preparations, and the resume it should be mention personal and professional details of the employment or the personal details. The personal details should not be more longer. It should be basic standard only information. It will be written, and in the professional you can be mention the all the project, all the work experience for the past employment. Now we'll move to the next slide. Section 2 is resume preparation steps of techniques. They are following guidelines, steps to be followed while preparing the resume. First point is mention the name top of the page in the middle center. First, in the resume preparation, your name will be on the top of the page on the center side. Point 2, keep any certification on top of the page left side. If you have any uh, certification or any achievement you have done, you can make a note on the resume in the left side in the top, or you can keep there any icons if you have. Point 3, you mention the address right top of the page. So the address for your current address should be mentioned the right side of the top of the page. Point number 4, mention the mobile number left top of the side of the page. Your mobile number, use the abbreviation. If the number is India, then use the 91 and you keep the number left side of the top of the page. And point number 5, mention the email address top right side of the page. You have to mention the email address which is correct because your interviewer or any communication to be happen with the email address. So email is and mandatory to get all the kinds of documents or any kind of relevant uh, documents respect to the communications between the interview and interviewer. Point number 6, after you put how many years of experience with technology or a specific work, you can put that how many experience you have and what are the technology you have gone through that. You can mention also primary um, skills or secondary skills. Primary skills will be like which is very specific or you are specialized in the particular area, subject or topic. Secondary means you know that but you are not expertise on this field or area. Mention the expertise details. Expertise details means you are expert in debugging, writing code, or team leading, and what are the work experience you have. Point number 8, mention career objectives. Mention the career objectives of the um, yours about like you wanted to become delivery head or the project manager or the team lead. So that should be the visions to be mentioned in the resume. It is not a uh, uh, right practice, but yes, if you have the perspectives, some goal that will be mentioned as per the work experience. 9. Mention employment of the previous and current jobs. And resume also should have your employment details, job details for the previous company and the current company. 10. Mention technical tools and operating system and databases. You have to mention your skills and which tools you have used and which are the operating system you know and what are the databases you have used. So that you can mention as the technical and professional skills here. Point number 11, mention education qualification details. Better to mention from the educational qualification with the percentage and the passing of the year should be mentioned. Point number 12, mention any training and certification details you have done. So if you have done any training or any certifications, kind of you can add a icon or you can write the which are the certification you have done. Question number 13, point number 13 is the mention project or work details of previous or current employment. So you have to mention the what are the projects you have done and what are the responsibilities and you have involved in the current or past employment. Point number 14, mention personal details. Mention the personal details for your like your Aadhaar card or one unique identification number, passports. So if you are not willingness to write fully any unique ID, last 4 digit or 5 6 digit is enough to be identify you as a uniqueness of the identity of the resume of the candidate. So section 2 is all talked about the preparation, how you are going to prepare the resume, that are the guidelines to be followed while preparing the new resumes. Next slide will move. Section 3, flowchart of resume preparation determinations. So here resume preparation techniques. What are the techniques? There are 4 categories are structured. First is clean, normal, Arial font format. Once you are preparing a resume, you will have the not a bold, not a italic. It should be normal Arial font, and sizes minimum it should be 12, or the maximum you can go for 13, 14 size. And the font color should be black color, and underline word is required whenever the heading is there. Kind of you want to highlight some things, then the only that time underline will be required. And the third is bold for heading of the word, whichever is highlighted, which are the important, and which are things like employment details should be bold, like a personal details should be bold, like experience. So that will be kind of title should be bold the text. And the next fourth is expertise should be bold with a little bit large font format. So whichever expertise, experience, achievement, certification, all things will be in the bold font size. Now we'll move to the next slide. So section 4 explanation of the flowchart on the resume creations. So these are the 4 categories to be followed while resume preparation, and that will be explained here. The resume preparation techniques has 4 major categories needed for the perfect resume. The first category is clean Arial font format, means that the font to be selected is normal. Most preferable to select Arial, and the font size of 10, we can make it for the which is not more highlighted, and for the standard size you can mention the 12 to be preferable in a resume. The second category of the resume is a black color underlined word if required, meaning that the font color to be selected is black, preferably not to mention any dark color. Text to be underlined wherever required in the resume, which too is highlighted in the resume. The third category of the techniques is expertise should be bold with a little bit of large font format, which means that the work experience to bold and little bit of a large format to be highlighted in the resume. The interview will focus most of the time bold one, which is resume that tells the expertise of the work and technology. The fourth category, techniques, is bold for heading of the word, mean that the heading of the line is bold to understand the details of the heading. Example, name, skills, project name, and etc. So this is talking about the standard size, the standard colors, and the standard paper, and the standard the bold, standard the highlighted, standard underscores. Font should be maintained to look awesome or look clean and to be understandable by the interview panel. Now we'll move to the next slide. Now we have completed the Module 10 of Part 1, Resume Preparation, Guidelines and Conversation. We have covered Part 1 about Resume Preparation Guidelines. We have covered Section 1 about Resume Preparation Process. We have covered Section 2, Resume Preparation, Steps of Techniques. We have covered Section 3, Flowchart of Resume Preparation Determination. We have covered Section 4, Explanation of Flowchart on Resume Creation. So in this video, we have learned the Module 10, Part 1, Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, Section 4. And in the next video, we'll look into that Module 10, Part 2. Thank you.